hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib and half a thing, probably make the sting or something. Girl, you like my bottom bitch. Post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket. Run around town when I bust it down, then my shit look them lanes did. It got a dick with my dick's mirror lips, dude. Basically, if this bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 a.m. club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. Then I met you, kick game, and followed you to the breakfast spot. Fuck you like I'm ready to that night up in the Marriott. I still got your cherry pop. Drunk and switching up position, thought this shit would never stop. Motherfucker, intermission, gang.
What nigga, I ain't laughing. Take a swig out on this 40. Then I'ma start to spaz. And I want to make a nigga. I can double that to taxes. On the way down on my level. Not even up in my bracket. You on my I'm getting money. You don't see that shit every day.
When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket. Run around town when I bust it down, then my shit look them lanes did. It got a dick with my dick's mirror lips, dude. Basically, if this bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 a.m. club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. When I hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib and half a thing, probably make the sting or something. Girl, you like my bottom bitch. Post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna give me that, you purchase a plane ticket. Run around town when I bust it down, then my shit look them lanes did. It got a dick with my dick's mirror lips, dude. Basically, if this bitch lay with me, she paying me. I'm on some pimp shit for real. This 2 a.m. club was about to close up. Coming through my contacts, about to call one of my hoes up. Then I met you, kick game, and followed you to the breakfast spot. Fuck you like I'm ready to that night up in the Marriott. I still got your cherry pop. Drunk and switching up position, thought this shit would never stop. Motherfucker, intermission, gang.
What nigga, I ain't laughing. Take a swig out on this 40. Then I'ma start to spaz. And I want to make a nigga. I can double that to taxes. On the way down on my level. Not even up in my bracket. You on my I'm getting money. You don't see that shit every day.
This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Press Pass Live. I am your host, the Commissioner here, Nate. I am so glad that you guys have joined us. It has been a minute. It's been a long time since we've been able to have a show, but we're back. We got the streaming and the internet all figured out. It was an internet issue that took them like 2 weeks to get figured out. We're back, and I got a new friend with me today, Mr. Bloop, the Commissioner of the TFL. Bloop, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, man. It was a bit of a long day, but glad to be here now and ready to do another PPL.
Bloop joined us for the draft that we just had, what seems like last night, but it was like 3 or 4 nights ago, and that was really good. It was a fun draft. I love doing the draft shows. Those are just one of my favorite things to do. I think I'm starting to get this mic situation figured out, so it should be hopefully sounding much better. And man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's been like, I don't know, 3 weeks since we've had a show due to the internet issues, and then we were off into the postseason and then off into the off season. It's not a whole lot to talk about during the business season here in the OMFL, but quick thoughts on the OMFL Bowl season 87 and then the playoffs for, not the playoffs, the draft for season 88.
Well, I didn't get to watch the game just because it happened while I was at work. We
got you while you were at work.
Yeah, I think I turned on your stream as you logged off that day, so I missed the game itself. But congrats to D Money, another championship, D Wayne in the final again. So those two guys, obviously, they're consistent every year. So congrats to both of them. And then as far as the draft goes, I think it was Legal had a really good draft. I think everyone kind of got somebody that was really in desperate need of a player. Some guys dominated, like obviously we talked about Mo on the draft show. So
yeah,
it was a pretty good last couple of days here in OMFL.
Yeah, complete domination whenever it came to Mo in the draft. He just ended up sweeping the entire thing and having a really great draft. So congrats to the Tennessee Titans. And yeah, it was a pretty special OMFL Bowl of two teams that kind of went back and forth. It was super tight for the first half, and then all of a sudden the Falcons pulled away. The Colts made it tight again, and then the Falcons answered right back. 4 OMFL Bowls in a row for him. So he is rocking and rolling right along, and who knows if anybody's going to be able to stop him. What's up, Kev? Thanks for joining the stream. Looks like we got a couple of you guys in here. Feel free to chat. The chat is up and working. Still working on trying to get back to YouTube. I know YouTube is so much easier for most of you. You can pull it up on your phone. Not a lot of people maybe have the Twitch app, but hopefully we'll be able to get things back up and running. Let me know if the mic's too hot. I was messing with the mic last night, but haven't been able to stream, and so it's good everywhere else, and I think the levels look good right here. So we should be good. Let's hop right into it. We're into week 1, and all the games except for one are played. I think the last one is being played right now. Let's talk about week number 1. What was your kind of standout game from week number 1? Which one did you like the most? And let's talk about it.
Well, as most people that will know, lots of the games are high scoring. So my favorite game was actually the one that made me realize there's still defense. After the couple first games, I think of the first 4 or 5 games that I saw, there was every game was over 60 points total. So I watched you versus Bill, actually watched the whole game. That was a good defensive struggle. Both you guys played really straight up defense, dominant defensive lines, and good linebackers, good time blitzes and stuff, and it was fun to watch. I think you had 9 sacks. I think he had 5 or something like that.
9 sacks, which is super crazy.
Yeah, and there's times of frustration for you on the stream and stuff, but it was just a perfect defensive football game. It wound up 22-20, so obviously really close. I think he won on a last-second field goal. That was just a great game to watch. I love defensive football. If you ever see me set up my team, I'm always trying to get the best defender so I can play defensive style. So to watch a good defensive struggle like that was really entertaining for me. And after seeing 56-38 games and stuff, I was really happy to see a 22-20 game?
Yeah, I'm hoping that those over 60-point games are not like the way the rest of the season's going to go. Hopefully it's just like one of those crazy weeks. You actually helped give me some tips. I kind of leaned in on you for some tips for my defense. Move Cam Jordan to outside linebacker, which I wasn't super excited about doing, and he answered with 3.5 sacks. So it all kind of worked out for me. Made a few more adjustments for my week 2 game, which will happen later tonight against Mr. Cooley, and we'll see how that goes. But this was a fun back and forth game. I found myself in one really bad defensive call, and I got burnt for a very long touchdown by Cooks. Outside of that, it was just a good back and forth. And actually, even with really good defense, I think there was a combined 13 sacks in this game. There were actually no interceptions, so no quarterback threw an interception in this game. Went back and forth. I ended up having a special teams field goal block for a touchdown, another one where I punted and got a fumble and was super close to the end zone and got a touchdown. And so just like a different type of game, right, where special teams ended up playing such a big role. I actually want to talk about your game. I was going to talk about the 49ers and Colts game, but your game was really great as well. The Patriots and Texans, of course, Savante taking over the Texans and taking over a team that he's not really used for, that he didn't really build at all, but yet you have a brand new team that you're playing with here with a rookie quarterback, and this was just a really good back and forth. 4 touchdowns from your rookie quarterback, 2 interceptions. Watson threw 3 picks, so you were able to turn him over. It seemed to go really tight into the fourth quarter where you scored a touchdown, he scored a field goal, and you walked away with a win. I wanted to touch on that game because it just was one of those really close, good, tight games, and I know that you are interested to see how your team responds this year. But I have to go to talk all the way about the Colts in San Francisco. I watched this one last night. The Colts have been in the OMFL Bowl, I don't know, 80% of the time it seems since he's joined here. He was there again last year against the Falcons, a guy that has just been a thorn in his side. Well, he's playing his actual real-life best friend that lives down the road for him. These guys went to high school together. They joined the league together. I think the San Francisco Dawson actually got the Colts Dawson to join. Now the Colts Dawson goes by Dwayne, but his real name is Dawson. And the two Dawsons, this was known as the Dawson Bowl. Ugly stream to watch because they have really terrible internet, but this was a fun one to watch. As you can see that the San Francisco 49ers were able to stay in there and hang in there with the Colts. Now, every time I watch the Colts play, I'm just completely blown away by his running back, Nigel Hines. I mean, this guy it's like he gets faster as he makes his cuts. But you can see Trubisky with his new team in San Francisco, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did give up 3 sacks, but he passed for 236 yards on 10 of 17 passing, so 58%. Now, Cam Newton doing what Dwayne does with his quarterbacks, high completion percentage, super safe football. He was it 19 for 24, which is a pretty high number for him, but 79%. He gave up 3 sacks, but he doesn't turn the ball over. 2 touchdowns for Cam Newton. And here's the guy that this guy's magnificent to watch. How he doesn't win the MVP every single season from here on out is going to just blow my mind. 19 attempts, 144 yards, 7.6 average, and 2 touchdowns. Now, Coleman had a great game himself, 9 for 105, but to watch Hines is, I don't know what you think if you've got to watch him, but it's literally like watching a work of art. This guy is magnificent, and the way he runs the ball just is mind-blowing. And you can see they ran a lot of plays. 19 rushes from Hines, another 11 from Snell, 2 more from Newton, plus 24 passes for Newton. That's a lot of offensive football there for the Colts. So both defenses kind of failed them, and these are 2 teams, 2 owners that are known for really good defense. But you can see it was really the run game that kind of took over in this game. Hines was just kind of doing it all for his team. You can see kind of a handful of sacks from both of these guys. It was really the defense that struggled for both sides. Let's see who led in sacks here. I think Buckner was the leader. Yeah, Buckner with 1.5. Bosa threw in 1, and then for the Colts, Cashman, Kerrigan, and Davison, ex-Saint there, throwing in a sack. But these two guys went down to the wire, which I got to be honest, I did not expect. Now, Dawson with San Francisco is a really good player. He used to be the Rams back in the day, and he was always in the playoffs. He was just one of the more dominant teams, but he's getting some things figured out there in San Francisco. And if you're going to beat the Colts, you got to beat them early in the season. I don't know why, but he tends to drop games early in the season, and then when he gets on that roll, man, he is super hard to stop, and he just kind of rolls through. So a couple of really tight, close games. Did you get to see the San Francisco Colts game at all?
No, this is another one where I went to go turn on the stream and just as it was ending, so I never got to see it. But I know from playing those two guys last season, I played both of them, and like you say, Hines is one of the toughest guys to stop. Coleman blew me out of the water last season too. So yeah, I could just by looking at the stats, you can tell that these guys are dynamic, and you know they both have mobile quarterbacks. I don't think Trubisky ran a whole lot this first week, but yeah, it wasn't too surprising to see a tight one here. I think both guys are really quality players, so it looked like a good game.
Yeah, this was a really good game back and forth between these two teams, and some good ways to start off season 88. And I do hope that the offensive numbers get skewed a little bit. There are also, just as a heads up, we usually save this stuff for the end, but we're talking about it right now. There may be some new rules that come out, a discussion that the board is having. There seems to be a little bit of controversy, I guess, for lack of a better word, around guys who user the cornerback. Now, I'm personally a cornerback user. I kind of moved there late last season because my second cornerback was just giving up way too many big plays. And if you play the Falcons, man, you got to learn how to do something to try to slow them down. And that was kind of my answer. And it just started to click for me. And so I've kind of stayed out there. But it seems that teams are bumping coverage, rolling coverage to the opposite side of where they're covering, backing up their cornerback. So they're making like a lot of adjustments on the defensive side of the ball. We've already got rules asking to kind of curtail that. We kind of want to like run the play as it's called. Now, we want to allow for some coaching and some adjustments to take place, but at the end of the day, like, you need to run the play that's called, and you need to call a better game. That's what we're really aiming for. So there may be a new rule adjustment that comes out that says if you make any type of adjustments, pinch, slide, bump, back up, show blitz, like anything that moves your entire team around, or large sections of your team, like whole position groups, then you're not allowed to manually move your individual player that you control, because guys are kind of taking advantage of those two rules, and they're moving players as a whole group, and then moving their manual player, the one that they're allowed to try to shut down an entire side of the field, and then call foul if the other guy goes to the other receiver a lot or goes to the tight end a lot. And we're in all honesty, like, you're trying to use FPR to bend the rules, and that's what we're trying to disallow. So look for that maybe to come out here in the next 24 hours. But let's kind of move the discussion of what we just got out of, and that's season 88 business season, where we've seen a lot of different free agent signings. Now, I don't have them all memorized, and I'm sure that you don't either, but there was definitely a couple of guys that went for some really big money. Now, I don't know how far back this transaction log is going to go, but do you know of any really big-time impact free agents that you think are going to make an impact this season? I definitely have a few that are come to mind, because I know personally they came over to my division, some big priced free agents. But what are the ones that really stuck out to you that think will make an impact on their new teams here in season 88?
Well, the first one for me is Mitch Trubisky going to the Niners.
Yep, just talked about him.
What's that?
I said we just finished talking about him.
Yeah. And for me, he's not like, he doesn't like, as far as quarterback ratings and stuff go, he doesn't blow you away with his ratings or anything. But I feel like Dawson, with that 49ers team, already has a really good run game, and he has a pretty solid pass game. It's nothing overpowering or anything, but it is a good pass game. But also now he has that added mobility with Trubisky, and I just think like when you got guys like that, that's kind of how D. Wayne plays. Is he's gonna run the ball really well. He has a decent pass game, but he doesn't destroy anyone with a pass game. But when you take away his pass game, he can run with it. I feel like Trubisky's gonna allow Dawson to do that with the 49ers, and I also think like he picked up I thought he picked up Goodwin, but I guess he was there before. So anyways, he has a really fast receiver.
Yeah, I think Goodwin was already there. Yeah,
you're right. And so I'm just looking at the team, but those guys are going to stretch the field, so the defense will be out of the way, and I think Trubisky is going to be able to really take advantage of that. For me, that's probably my number one free agent signing. I just, having a mobile quarterback like that is really hard to find in the draft or anything. So to get that in free agency is really impressive. And also I think it's going to be a big blow for the Bears this season, not having Trubisky to kind of move that offense off. So that was my top one for sure.
Yeah, he kind of gave up on Trubisky, which is interesting. And at the same time, I was interested in Trubisky, but look, quarterbacks demand a high dollar. We're looking at it right now. To release Trubisky, it's $25 million. Like, it's a pretty fat contract that he had to go give him. And it's scary to tie that kind of money up in a quarterback that's going to be out there. But it was a little confusing to me outside of age, which you save 2 years, I think, between him and Garoppolo. You actually have a weaker throwing power quarterback with the same accuracy. Now, he adds in a little bit of speed, but trust me, at 84 speed, I have a guy that's 84 speed. It doesn't make that big of a difference unless you're, running an 89, 90, 91 speed quarterback. It's not like 84s out there running around like crazy. So a little bit of a head scratcher to me. I don't know if it's like a physical thing, like he just plays better with Trubisky, or if it's more of a mental thing of like, hey, he just sucked with Garoppolo, so like just having any new quarterback is going to help him. But man, that's a lot of money for a team that's already going to have to invest a lot of money into his defense because they're young and they're going to be coming up on contract. A little bit of a head scratcher long term for this team.
Yeah, and my guess is Garoppolo will be cut. Right now he's at $27 million in savings. So that would be my assumption about that. But yeah, you have a good point. He's not much of a better... he's actually a worse passer slightly than Garoppolo. But I think, like you say, 84 is not something to write home about with your quarterback. But I know as a guy that's played with Tom Brady and now my rookie quarterback, 66 speed or something like that, even that little edge to get you 5 yards instead of, getting tackled on the line of scrimmage can be huge against some of the top teams who play a lot of man coverage, right? So, that's where my thinking is with this one. But you're right. It's financially, he has to get rid of Garoppolo for it to work out. But
he's going to have to do something. And I don't... Look, looking at Garoppolo tonight, I'll be honest, I've seen the posting. I don't know what Garoppolo is going to take to actually make a trade for. It's probably not going to be super cheap, is going to be my assumption. He's 29, but man, that kid can play. And you need a quarterback, and you have the money and the flexibility. You can go out and get a guy that's going to immediately make an impact. I've got one I'm going to throw out there. I don't know if you've got some others, but Calais Campbell was a big guy that I had my eyes on. Now, look, this guy is 35 years old, so it's like, how can a 35-year-old be that impactful? But he's an X factor. He's got the unstoppable force. X factor ability on a Bucks team that needed to get pass rushing pressure. Now, he came on our draft show and he talked about why he invested that money in Calais. He gave him a big contract. Again, if you're going to cut Calais Campbell, it's going to cost you $26.2 million. So more money invested in Calais Campbell. Now, it was a shorter term contract, so that's why it was maybe not as much long-term money, but still a big, really fat contract that Cooley had to go out there and give for Campbell. But this guy is a monster, and he is going to make an impact for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He can still play. He can still come off of the edge. Personally, now he's a little light at 300, but I just know the power of having a defensive tackle that's disruptive right up the gut. Like, it's one thing to get pressure from the side where you can maybe step up in the pocket, or maybe you see it coming and get rid of the ball real fast, or even take off to the other side. You can even leave in like a running back or a fullback to help you with those edge guys, but you get it right in the mouth. That's really, really difficult to counteract and to have an answer for. And that is the worst pressure. It seems like every time I play the Falcons, Grady Jackson's in my mouth 6 times a game, right? And it disrupts your run game. It disrupts your pass game. I think, anyway, I've said all that to say I think about playing him at defensive tackle. Now, I know he's got VFA over there, and so that kind of messes with that a little bit. But this guy can play, and I expect him to make an immediate felt impact for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and that might be the very thing that gets him over the hump and helps him make a run at one of those wild card spots. Now, I'm not going to fool ourselves like the Falcons are king of the hill. The guy hasn't lost a game in way over a season. So until somebody knocks him off and actually beats him in a game, I believe that it can get done. But the wild card is still a very viable option for everybody else in the NFC South, and this is going to help the Tampa Bay Bucks start to get back on the right track. So this was one of the ones that I really remember sticking out to me.
Yeah, I think that's a big one too, and I know Cooley, his offense is always pretty solid, so having that upgrade on the defensive line, I know he's trying to get some other upgrades as well. I think he drafted a hidden dead safety in the draft. All these things are... Yeah. Yeah, so... if you're following the Bucks, their offense is good. I think they're going to keep improving. I think that's a team that's on the rise, and I think Calais Campbell's a big part of it, especially this season here, as he still has his X factor and can, as soon as those guys get hot, it doesn't matter if they're a little bit older or whatever, they're going to be able to dominate games. So that was a really big signing for Cooley. I know he was happy to get that. Yeah, I did. I can't remember. I got one team that I'm going to talk about really quick. I don't think that any individual move they made was by itself really good, but the Vikings adding David Johnson, they added Demario Davis, a couple other guys. But those are two guys specifically that, I think both of them at one point I wanted. David Johnson still has a lot left to give. Demario Davis was probably the best coverage linebacker in the entire free agent class. So yeah. 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 Technology. Yeah. Yeah, that makes no sense. Yep.
And plug it back. There we go. All right, I'm back. I don't know what happened. He could still hear me, guys. You guys couldn't because I'm on 2 separate mics here. But anyway, it hurt to let Demario Davis go. I wanted him back so bad. But again, if you don't manage your cap in this Madden, it's going to hurt you. Like, you're going to be in trouble. It's going to come back to burn you. And look, Demario Davis had to get big money, and he was asking for big money, and didn't like any of my offers to come back to my team. And at 32, he declined for the past 2 years. I'd saved him once and couldn't save him again. And but still a very, very good linebacker that I agree with you will make plays for the Vikings.
Yeah, and along with David Johnson, I just think they made some nice upgrades. I don't know if that's going to turn them into a playoff team for sure, but in that NFC North, they got a chance. And the linebacking core that they got now is amongst the best in the league. So I thought it was a really good job. He beat me out for Davis, and I really wanted him. Like, that was probably the guy I went after hardest in free agency. So props to Crazy B-Man, and good luck with that team. I know it's been a rough first 2 seasons, but I think he's on the right track.
Look, the guy's got players, right? He's got Jacoby Sanders, which made the Pro Bowl this past year, one of the top cornerbacks in the league. Diggs can still play. Thielen can still play. The ex-LSU Hunter can still play. You got Smith over there. You add Johnson, who can still run like a great defense. Look, Crazy's hard on himself, and but he's a very good player, and he really pushes other teams. And I hope that he never gets to a point where he's like, you know what, this isn't fun anymore, and I kind of give up, because that's tough, right? It's tough to not get there whenever you don't have anything to show for it. But man, he's so close. If he can just keep pushing, and hopefully his new quarterback there will be able to help him. I'm going to go to one that was a big signing. I think will make an impact, but also a little confusing, a lot like the 49ers signing of Trubisky, and that's Trey Burton. Trey Burton was out there. You had to pay him really, really big money. I was in the running for him, and then I kind of talked myself out of it because he's 29 years old, because he's a tight end. It's like, do I really want to invest, $20 million into this guy? You can see his penalty is 12.6. So he got a really fat contract to go over to the minors now that used to be the Chargers. And this one's confusing to me just from the idea that you had Hunter Henry over there, right? A guy who's 26 years old, 88 overall, a guy that you've already had to pay big money to. What is the point of adding him? Now, I know that the minors are going to run some 2 tight end sets here, and the 2 tight end sets are kind of like in vogue right now in the OMFL because it really spreads a defense out, and it's really hard to run against. This is one of the tougher teams to defend. He's got 2 X-factor receivers. It's like pick your poison. Like, I don't even know how to stop that guy. I got lucky and beat him because I was able to get a couple picks, but now you add Burton, and now you have Henry on one side, Burton on the other. You got these 2 X-factor wide receivers. His quarterback is really good too. I forget who his quarterback is. Oh, Tyree Jackson, right? So you got a guy that can actually run the ball on you, and it's like pick. Good luck keeping that team under 45 points a game, because he's going to be one of the more unstoppable forces. I do still question the money spent, but you can't argue, man. It adds another weapon to the Miners team.
Yeah, and, as an AFC, a guy that's in the AFC and keeps running into this Miners team / Chargers, I think I have 6 losses or 7 losses in 2 seasons so far, and 3 of them are to this team. And so thanks a lot for whoever let the tight end get here. This offense has been insane, and now it's even more insane. Trey Burton's a better athlete than Hunter Henry, so good luck stopping them. I know week 1 they had some turnover problems, which is the only thing that's going to slow them down. Like, Tyree Jackson once in a while seems to have a complete clunker of a game, but that team around him is unreal. The defense is pretty solid if you look at top to bottom. They got 80s up pretty much every spot. I think defensive tackles like 79, 77. That's the only spots without 80s. So this team's loaded. I know Collins probably gunning for another run there at D-Money in the Super Bowl. So, great job building the team. We'll see what his cap's like going forward. I'm sure Hunter Henry's on his last deal, or last year of his deal, so he might be gone. But yeah, this is probably the best offense in the league as far as talent goes. and I know Colin runs a really tough offense to stop too. So unreal job by him to get Trey Burton, and good luck to everyone that plays him.
Yeah, it is not going to be a fun time over there in the AFC trying to stop them. I was trying to figure out the best way to bring up impact rookies, but that's what we're going to talk about next is impact rookies. What are your impact rookies coming out of this draft? Who are the ones that you think, hey, this one or two guys, these are going to be the guys that teams really need to watch out for?
Well, first off, the one game I watched pretty much start to finish. I think I skipped the last 2 minutes when it was out of reach. But the Packers first round pick, wide receiver, what's his name here? I just gotta find him. Hitchens, I think. Oh, Fowler, Benjamin Fowler. This guy is a freak. He's 6'6", 218 pounds. I know, the Packers have their turnover issues, but this is. I think there's a guy last cycle who was 6'6" as well, who completely dominated. He wound up on the Seahawks by the end, and this guy is like the reincarnation of that player.
Oh yeah, from the Broncos. He's in the Hall of Fame. Why am I slipping his brain? I know exactly who you're talking about, and somebody in the chat will remember and tell us what his name is. But he is in the OMFL Hall of Fame. Yeah.
And he went to the Seahawks, and I think he had 35 yards per catch or something.
Yeah, it's something stupid because that team was stupid.
Yeah, it was. And Fowler, he's not quite as fast, but just watching this guy out on the field, he had a couple rookie moments where the ball hit him in the face and he never caught it. But just to watch him go against those Seahawks in Week 1, the Seahawks, ironically, secondary, which is really good cornerback group, and Fowler was wide open on so many plays. Rodgers forced it in there, but Fowler was making some plays anyways, and it was just a completely, as far as me watching the game goes, I was shocked at how dominant he was. Probably this game more than any game, Madden 20. That 6'6" is going to come into play a lot, and
look his catch rating.
Yeah,
85 catch, 83 catch in traffic, 84 spectacular catch. This is a rookie we're talking about.
Yeah, he hasn't developed at all. 86 release. He was, I forget what cornerback he was matched up against. I don't think it was Jacoby Gardner, but I think maybe the Seahawks just played straight up, and at times he was against Gardner, but he was wide open on half the plays that.
I didn't even notice that till just now. 56 run blocking. Yeah, give me this guy every single day of the week. I want this guy out starting for me.
Yeah, in the draft I was in the 20s, and I wanted this guy so bad. I had 10 picks. I almost considered trading all my picks to move up. And this guy's a stud.
Yeah,
he's unreal. As far as rookies go, there's gonna be no bigger impact rookie, I don't think. This is going to be a Proctor from last year who had 2,000 yards, unreal rookie receiver. I think there's going to be other positions that are effective, especially quarterbacks or, cornerbacks are always big. But I think this guy is that one transcendent player in the rookie class. So
yeah, I'm going to go to the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to we talked about his amazing draft that he had, and he took a guy that I really had my eye on in Kent Rowan, a cornerback, as you were just talking about. This out of the box, this guy is 78 overall, 94 speed, 94 acceleration, 68 strength, which is pretty darn good for a cornerback, 76 awareness for a rookie. And this guy can play immediately. He's got 72 catch. Let's look at his man and zone ratings. We'll get to it. Let's see if we can get some of these other ones. Tackle, 68. For a cornerback, that's pretty good. 70 hit power. He can bring it. Man coverage, here we go. 75 man coverage, 78 zone, 79 press. This guy can do it all. This is going to be an instant day one starter. Put the gold jacket on him, send him off to the OMFL Hall of Fame, and maybe think about, I think he's 20, I think he's 21? He might be 22. Let's get over here to it.
think you're right.
He's 21 years old, so we're in season 2. We usually play 6, so 4 more seasons. He's going to be 26-ish, somewhere in there. Take that dude with me to Madden 21. Like, give me him. Put him out on an island, and he's good for the next 4 seasons in Madden 21. I don't have to worry about a cornerback for the next 2 Maddens, right? Like, this guy can do it all. He is going to be a transcendent guy on a defense that already has a transcendent player that is never talked about in this league, and Jabari Thurman. This is another guy. He was his import from Madden 19. This guy's 94 overall, a defensive tackle that is in the Pro Bowl each and every year. He's always in the top 10 in sacks from the defensive tackle position. This guy's all around the ball, 81 speed, 85 acceleration. I'm getting off on a tangent about the Tennessee Titans here, but I love Rowan, and I think that he will be one of those impact rookies that you immediately see making plays from the get-go here, and is a day one starter that you plug and play, and you never worry about that side of the field ever again for this Madden.
Yeah, he was another guy that I had really high on my board. I think I had him as my top cornerback. I think he was the third one off the board. Yeah, unreal. Like you say, there's so many good things to say about that guy and the Titans draft in general. But yeah, I was pretty jealous to see that.
Looks like we just advanced too.
Yeah, that panicked me for a sec. I was thinking it's TFL and I advanced it or something. But,
I was like, I didn't do anything. I want everybody to know I didn't touch it.
Yeah, no, Rowan, I think, as you say, he's probably a likely import. Great pickup, and I think the way things are going to go, I didn't see what his development is, but even if it's a star development, I don't think it's going to take him very long to get to the superstar and the X Factor. Probably... cornerback's probably the third most important spot in the league. If you're just grading on like what you need to have a successful team, and that's might be as close as we're gonna get to Keelan Pyle this cycle.
Yeah,
as we're gonna see.
I got one more, and then I'm going to toss it for you for one more. I'm going to go Ryan Colt for the Bengals. Yeah. Now, the Bengals had the number 1 pick. This is a surprise player for me. I think maybe he changed his name. I'm not 100% sure.
He did.
I'm about to say, because Ryan Colt doesn't sound like a name I would remember. I don't know why guys get... I don't understand the excitement about changing players' names. But anyway, 86 speed, 86 acceleration, 88 agility. This guy can move. I mean, he can move around in the pocket. I love he's got 77 awareness, so you're starting with a guy that can really get up there pretty quickly. He's got 90 throwing power, which doesn't sound amazing, but for this Madden, it's pretty average, right? It's going to be on the higher end there. I don't know who just joined us, but if you could mute yourself, that would help us a ton. 90 throwing power, 84 short accuracy, 76 medium accuracy, 81 deep accuracy, and 84 throwing on the run. This guy can kind of do it all already and should be an impact player for his team. Here's another part that I really love about this player. 85 throwing under pressure, 76 break sack. So he can get out of sacks, he can throw under pressure, and we just talked about the Tennessee Titans over there in the AFC. You got the Colts over there. You're going to have teams that are bringing a lot of pressure. You got a guy that can escape the pocket. You got a guy that can get out. He had this type of player like 3 Maddens ago that was an import player, was almost a Hall of Famer, just like a really, really great mobile quarterback, and he tanked, and he found that guy again. So I think that Ryan Colt, he's going to throw a lot of interceptions. Get ready for that. But if you can kind of work through the interception piece, he'll kind of be like Mahomes. Lots of yards, lots of big plays. He's going to be an impact player there for the Bengals.
Yeah, he was, just from the athleticism alone, I think number 1 on everyone's board. Sorry about that. Yeah, great player. I think he had 3 touchdowns in the first week, 0 interceptions, but I think it was like
crazy.
I think it was like a turnover game, so he only threw for like 180 yards or something like that. So nothing crazy there, but great prospect, and the Bengals got themselves a stud in Ryan Colt now. Yeah, and it's just I think McCoy went number 3 overall. He was a really good thrower too, but just that added athleticism, you don't see that much in these Madden drafts, and I think that's going to be what sets him apart from everyone else that's been drafted so far.
I agree. Give me one more. Who's another impact rookie that we should be aware of for season 88?
Yeah, I got on the Miami Dolphins left end, Solomon Stinson. This guy is 6'3", 319 pounds, and the most shocking thing to me, he's a great run blocker. He has 88 block shedding, 90 strength, but at 319 pounds, he has 81 speed.
88 block shed for a rookie.
Yeah.
For a rookie.
Yeah, and also 79 power moves, which is something that's going to be upgraded quick, right? Like, this is a...
He has a better zone and man coverage than some linebackers in this league. I mean, it's not great. It's 37-42, but still, as a 319-pound defensive end, this guy can cover man coverage at 42.
Yeah, and, good luck to me. He's in my division, of course. I just couldn't believe that there's a 319-pound guy with 81 speed. I'm pretty sure that's that's probably unheard of. I don't think there's a pro comparison for that. It's just an unreal player. He might take a little while to really become an impact in the pass game, but obviously the run game is going to be unbelievable. He's fast enough to really screw up defenses.
This guy was number 1 on my board. Now I was picking 19, so some of those top guys I kind of taken off. Me because you kind of inspired me, but I moved over to a 3-4, and I already had Jordan and Anyamata, so I was looking for a guy, and I don't care if they play left end, right end, defensive tackle. I was looking for a big monster that I could put at defensive tackle, and this guy was 319. I know he was listed as a left end, but I could put him at defensive tackle. He's way better than I thought he would. 319 pounds, 88 block shed, and 90 strength. Yeah, put him at defensive tackle for me in a 3-4 and let that dude go eat. And he is just going to wreak havoc against offenses in the AFC. I love this pick. This was a great pick for the Miami Dolphins, who really needed just athleticism and playmaking ability for that team.
Yeah, and I just want to say to Kevin, I'm pretty sure he had the number 1 pick last season, and I think he did a better job this year. I think he was 8 or 7 or 8 this year.
You're right.
I think he did a better job getting this guy than what he did last season, because this guy, I don't think I had him number 1 on my board, but he should have been just by looking at him now. This is probably, as far as defensive players go, this might be a guy that you never see again on Madden. 81 speed at 319 pounds is unheard of.
Stupid. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to Kevin. He took the guy that I really wanted. Let's move over to some predictions before we get to the mailbag. We're going to start the AFC North, and we'll just kind of work our way down. You got the Steelers at 1-0, the Bengals at 1-0, the Ravens at 0-1, which is a bit of a surprise, and the Browns at 0-1. This is actually a really great division. I know Chaotic overall doesn't have a really great record here in the OMFL, but that dude will win and win against any team in this league. He plays really great defense. He just has to get that offense figured out. You can see it here. He gave up 23 points, which is not a ton, especially in these games that people are giving up 30 and 40 points, but he only scored 10 points. He just always has struggled with trying to figure out the offense. I think he really needs to just focus on running the ball and being more efficient in his passing game, and that would really help him out. The Ravens, we know the kind of powerhouse that he can be with Jackson at quarterback. He's got playmakers all over the field with his running backs, with his receivers, and he always plays top tier defense. The Bengals, I know what they did last season. People want me to put in a rule. People want me to make an example out of him. It kind of is what it is. He tanked. All right, we all know he tanked. It is what it is. Part of me is yeah, we should boot anybody who tanks. And it's you get into proving tanking, which is really difficult to do. And then part of me is if a guy wants to waste 2 hours of his day every 3 days to purposely lose a game for a possible Madden pick that you don't know if he's going to be good or not, nah, you know what? Go waste your time then. Good luck to you. Like you got bigger problems than Madden, and so it is what it is. But he's already at 1-0. He put up 42 points. You said that was kind of a turnover ball game, and we know what Penguins can do. Penguins was really down on himself and hard on himself in season 1. I was very thankful that he hung in there with us. He's got things figured out, playing really magnificent defense over there in Pittsburgh, and now he's starting to get some offensive things figured out. How do you see this division cracking out for some predictions for season 88?
Yeah, like you say, this is a really tough one to pick. I think they're all, depending on the day, they're all pretty similar skills to each other. Sometimes like Chaotix will have a bad offensive game, or sometimes Penguins, like early on, I think he struggled offensively too. But as far as this season goes, I gotta go with for first place. I gotta go with my buddy there, Penguins, who graduated OMFL 2 the same year as me. He's really figured things out. I think he has his team kind of built the way he wants it now, I think, for the most part anyways. And I think he's a guy that loves to. He's a competitor, so obviously when he got through all those problems he had, he started dominating. I think he won 11 games to finish off last year. I think he'll wind up winning. It's really hard to pick second place in the division, though. That's a tough one. I want to say the Ravens will wind up finishing second. I played him in the preseason, and his team is, really talented. I think now that he has a little bit more weapons on the offensive side of the ball for Lamar to throw to, other than Hollywood Brown, I think he's going to improve.
Does second place get you a wild card in this division?
That's going to be tough. I think they're too competitive with each other. They're going to 3-3, record against each other kind of thing, almost all the way through the division. Maybe one team will be 4-2 and one team will be 2-4 or something. But it'll be so close that they might knock each other out. I don't think second place will get a wild card spot. I think there'll be 1 or 2 games out just because of that, because I think there's a couple divisions where guys are going to pick up 10 wins or 11 wins.
Who comes in third and fourth in this division?
Third, I think the Bengals. I think they're a much improved team, obviously. I don't think it's going to be by a tight margin. Here I am thinking the Steelers might have 12-4. I think the Ravens will be something like maybe 9-7 or 8-8. Then the Ravens and the Bengals and the Browns, I think they're both going to be right there, 7-9 kind of thing, where they're beating teams outside of the division, then they split in the division. I think the Bengals and Browns are both going to be 7-9, so whoever wins the tiebreaker of them gets third place.
There you have it.
They're both very similar, but offensive, opposite build teams. One's offensive, one's defensive, but I think they're very similar as far as where they're going to finish up.
I'm going to kind of flip it with you. I think that the Bengals 100% tanked. I don't care what argument he may or may not have. And I think he wins this division. I think that quarterback fits his style. He's going to put up a ton of points like this all year long. He'll win a lot of games, 42-40, 46-43. He's going to give up a lot of points, but he's going to score a lot of points. He's going to be really, really tough to stop. I think they win the division. I think the Steelers come in number 2, and I think that they have a tight race with the Ravens, and I think that gets them a wild card out of this division. I think the Ravens barely miss out on the second wild card, and I think the Browns probably win 6 to 8 games. I do like him. I think he's a great competitor. I love his team. I think real life hurts him from being able to have a competitive team. I will say, though, he usually gets a lot of time off for Christmas and New Year, and so if he makes a run, it's going to be this season. If he doesn't make a run this season, he usually doesn't make a run because the poor guy works 89 hours a week or something. So I really expect the Browns to maybe turn it around here, but they're really going to have to show me something if they're going to make a serious run. Let's move over to the AFC South. You got the Titans at 1-1, Jaguars at 1-1, Colts at 1-1, and then Sav and his new Texans at 0-1. How do you see this division playing out?
This is probably the best division in the AFC at least. I think all 4 of these teams, are really, really well set up. I played Sav in his Texans week 1, and I don't think like other than turnovers, like I don't think I made them punt the entire game, maybe once. The Titans, they got their elite run game. They got all those rookies that they drafted. I think that's a team and really good defense that's been developing. I think that's a really tough team. And then the Jags and Colts, we both know about them. I think first will be, it's really tough. I think the Titans are going to wind up winning this division this year.
Really?
Yeah. It's they got to get through their start when their rookies are like getting their hidden devs unlocked and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as he gets that, he had so much talent. He has Matt Breida, who I think is the most underrated back. Maybe because his pass game isn't so good or something, but Hines is obviously really good in this division, but Braid is probably the most dynamic back I've watched.
Yep.
Week to week. So I think they're going to be first. I think the Colts will be second. I think both those teams are going to have like 12 to 13 wins. They're just two really good owners, two really good teams. It's going to be hard to stop. So I think that's obviously a wild card team for sure. With the Colts. Then I think the Jaguars are going to have another good season, but I think they'll just be on the outside. I think they'll be like a 9-7, maybe even 10-16 that misses. They play good. They're scoring lots of points and stuff. And then I think Sav is going to surprise a lot of people. That offense is, like I say, killed me last week. The defense, he knows it. The defense needs work, but they got some good players there too. And I think he'll wind up being fourth place. But I think he'll get 6 to 7 wins, which is really good for a fourth place team. I think this is a division where 3 teams could really make the playoffs. I could see that for sure.
Yep, wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if 3 teams came out of this division. I'm going to predict 2. I think the Colts win it. I just don't see anyone stopping Hines. He clearly is still very effective with Cam Newton. That defense is just going to get better and better. Now, I don't love what he did in the draft. I don't know that he's super active in free agency. Like, he's just quiet every offseason. He doesn't make splashy moves. Here's the interesting thing, I think, after week 1. 34 points by the Texans defensive team, 34 points by the Colts defensive team, 30 points by the Jaguars defensive team. So 3 of the defensive teams, all of these are defensive teams, but the top 3 gave up over 30 points. I think the Jaguars take a step back as they figure out their running back issue. Of course, they lost their number 1 running back. I do think the Titans are back, but give me the Colts to win this division. I think the Titans will finish second and get the second wild card, and then the Jaguars, I think, will be like that 9-7, maybe even 10-win team. I don't know that 10 wins is enough here in the AFC, and I do think that the Texans will be a little bit like the Browns, like anywhere from a 4 to 8 win team that could make some noise late in the season. Let's go to the AFC East, your division. You got the Jets at 1-0, your Patriots at 1-0, the Dolphins at 0-1, the Bills at 0-1. Now the Bills and Dolphins both took over pretty bad rosters, but they've built them up over 2 years. The Bills are known for defense, and then they go out and give up 31 points in the first game. The Dolphins, who we just talked about his defensive players, he gives up 29 points in the first game. Your Patriots played a tight one, but you still gave up 31 points. And then the Jets looking really dominant, giving up 14 points only and scoring 31 points. How do you see your own division playing out?
Well, for a moment, I gotta say this because I watched their game between the Jets and Bills. For a moment, it looked like Outlaw was gonna walk away with our division because he was. Jason will acknowledge this if he sees this, but for that first half, he was destroying Jason, absolutely mauling him, and then he kind of started turning the ball over and making bad defensive plays. But so in the end, I'm not gonna go with the Bills for first place. I think he's improved his team a lot, but the Jets proved a lot in the second half, especially. I think Jason kind of was trying some stuff in the first half, and it didn't work out. I think after that, his defense is locked down. They got maybe I don't know, I haven't counted, but they might have the most superstar and X Factor players on their defense. I know they got at least...
On the Jets?
Yeah, I think they got at least 6.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, and they're all athletes too. They buzz around out there, so it's a really tough defense. I think he'll be first place once again. he's just really consistent with that team, and I think it's going to be hard. I don't think we're going to have as many wins as the division as we did in the previous 2 seasons, but I think with like 11 or 12 wins, he'll win. Then I think, I got to pick myself for second place.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's a wild card or not is going to be dicey. I think.
Call it. What do you think?
I think I'll make the playoffs with this team. My 31 points against, one of those is a kick return, one of those is a pick six, where we had a crazy sequence and I just wasn't thinking clearly and I just threw a really bad ball. Other than that, my defense played a lot better than 31 points would suggest. My offense is like really good. I think I'll get like 10 wins. I think I'll get a tiebreaker over someone to make my way in. Then I think the Bills are going to be third. I think the only difference between the only thing holding back the Dolphins, from being the third place team, and I think both these teams are going to win more games, but I think the Dolphins are going to be held back by Phillip Rivers, who, I think he's 39 years old now. I think he's just going to hold that team back, which I mentioned earlier is adding a lot of talent. But I think the Bills with Josh Allen, Braden Proctor, and Zay Jones look really tough to stop. And if he could just, and I hope Outlaw's listening, if you could just tone it back a little bit once in a while on the pass game, you're going to be able to beat teams, because unfortunately you turn it over once in a while, and it's just that's the only thing that holds you back with that team.
He's beat me before.
Yeah, and he, like I say, he started off against Jason, and he was just blowing the doors off of him, and then turnovers allowed Jason to get back in the game. Like, I think it was 14-0, and Outlaw was driving for a 21-0 thing, and then he threw a pick six, 14-7. The game turned around from there. So if Outlaw can control his turnovers, he could be a playoff team, but I don't think he's going to quite get to that point. I think he'll get to like 6-7 wins this season on the right track. Then I think Kevin will be probably 6 or 7 wins as well, but just in fourth place.
I'm going to see if we can hit the gas a little bit. It's 10:25. We advance, so I'm sure Cooley is like, hey, let's wrap this thing up so we can play. I think that the Jets will win this division just because he's so dominant. He's got that dominant defense. I think this is a 13, 14, 15 win team. I think your Patriots will be right there nipping at his tail, though. I see you to be a 12 to 13 win team. I do think that you're going to be like right on the edge for a wild card spot. It's going to be hit and miss of like, that can kind of go any way between you and Pittsburgh or even the Tennessee Titans, right? I think you three teams are going to be really battling it out as like who can win that one more division game than the other. And now that I'm starting to call this, I'm actually thinking that you might get the edge there, because you do have the Dolphins and the Bills in your division. Those guys have a much, much harder road to go than you do, and so I'm starting to even question my own prediction. So it would not surprise me at all if you make it into the playoffs because of those division wins. I do think the Dolphins, will come in third place, and the Bills will finish last. I don't know that the Outlaw has it in him to hit the brakes and slow down enough, but both of those teams I think will have a top 10-12 pick there in season 89 draft. Let's go to the AFC West. You got Massimo and the Chiefs. He's definitely turned things around, I'd say, with 56 points scored in his first game. He gave up 38 though. You got the Raiders at 0-1, you got the Broncos at 0-1, and then surprisingly you got the Miners at 0-1 with their rookie quarterback. They're the ones who lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. So a good defensive team gave up a whole lot of points to Massimo and his Chiefs. How do you see this division playing out?
Well, this one's going to go fairly obvious. I think Colin's going to bounce back. He still scored 38 points despite having 5 turnovers, so I think he'll be first place. That team's just too talented to not win 12, 13 games. I think Massimo has a lot of things figured out. His defense has improved, so I think he'll be second place by quite a wide margin here. I don't know. We'll see how his defense goes, but I know he needs some pieces, and I don't know if he quite has the pieces to win consistently against top teams, and that might hurt him. I'm not sure what his schedule is like exactly, but especially I don't think he'll win the rematch against Colin. I think that's going to be a 1-on-1 series. Then so he's second place. I think that's outside the playoffs, probably a 9-7 team. I think he's improved a lot, but anyways, then I think the Broncos will be third place. I think they're just a little bit further ahead in their rebuild than the Raiders are. I think the Raiders, they got some talent, but they just miss a couple top end players. Like I think that Antonio Brown's their only really weapon on the offensive side of the ball. So I think they're going to be fourth. Yeah, that's how I see it going. I don't think either the Broncos or the Raiders are going to sniff the playoff race. I think they'll be like 6-win teams again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think both of those teams will be top 5 picks here. I think that they are a little unfocused, possibly a little disengaged, and or a little bit further away in the building of their team. Neither one have hit home runs in their draft classes. I do see the Chiefs winning this division, though, and I can't pick 2 teams from every division to make the playoffs, and I've kind of already given my wild card teams. So I think the Miners, Colin always seems to have that one season where he takes a step back for some reason. He loads up on draft picks, and bam, he's right back into it the next season. I do think this is an extremely good team, an extremely talented team. I think he will still win 10 to 12 games, but I think, like you, he's going to be like bumping up against the playoffs. And who knows, maybe it's you and him that get those wild card spots because those other 2 guys just have a much tougher road than both of you do. But I do think that the Chiefs are going to win this division because of that offense. That offense is stupid. And if he can keep from turning the ball over a ton, and he'll easily win 13 games, 12 games. And I think that that's just going to be barely enough. And I think this first week was such a massive step in the right direction. To lose that game on the road, to start off the season, to start off your year and give up 56 points, that's a pretty big blow if you're the Miners. Let's move over to the NFC North, moving over to the NFC, see if we can get through these in the next couple of minutes. You got the Lions at 1-0, 24 points for and 7 points against. The Bears at 1-0. Seen Smash jump in the chat a little while ago. The Vikings at 0-1 and the Packers at 0-1. Now, I know you were talking really great about this Packers offense, but he only put up 6 points in week 1. So how do you see this division playing out?
Yeah, I will say the Packers offense, I was just talking about that one receiver. He looks amazing. The rest of the offense, I remember I think the first draft show, Priest came on and said something about turning the ball over. Doesn't matter if you score enough points. Well, if you turn the ball over and only score 6 points, it's not going to work for you. I see the Bears winning this. I do think the Lions are going to have a much better showing than they have in the last 2 years, but the Bears are just a dominant defensive team. They're going to be able to defense their way through this division to win it. It might not be as good of a record as the last 2 seasons for the Bears. It might be like a 9-win, 10-win season, but I think Smash has this one again. I think the Lions will improve to 8-8 this season. They obviously look pretty good against the Vikings week 1. Maybe 7-9 kind of thing, but I think the Lions have improved. I just don't think it's enough to dethrone the Bears' amazing defense. Then third place, the Vikings. I do like what they've done. I think they're going to improve to probably a 4 or 5-win team. And then the Packers, I love their receiver, but the rest of that team has to grow a lot. I know he's playing a lot of star dev guys instead of better overall players, so we'll see how that goes for him. But I just don't think he quite has the horses to win a lot. I think he might be a top 3 pick, in my opinion.
Look, Smash was in here during the draft show talking about he was going to be a 6 or 8 win team and that the Lions are going to win it. Look, week 1 was really great for the Lions. 00 knows he's my boy. He's one of the few guys here I've met in person. He's been with me the longest. I love 00, but 00 cannot get out of his own way. Can't get out of his own head. He's going to have one bad game. It's going to derail the rest of his season because he can't refocus and move forward. Look, his team looked really good after week 1. I think that team has he had a lot of Pro Bowlers this past season. He's definitely moving in the right direction, but that Bears defense is stupid stupid. Like, I can't even begin to describe what it's like to play him. That defense alone is going to win you 8 to 9 games by themselves. And so if you can just win 3 or 4 games, and Smash is more than talented enough to do that, you're going to be just fine. So I do see the Bears winning this division. I think the Lions are pushing. I think the Lions are going to push for a wild card spot. I don't see it coming out of this division because I think that a 10 or 11 win team is going to miss the playoffs here in the NFC. And then, I think the Vikings and Packers are going to fight each other for that last spot. I think the Vikings have the most talent. There goes Mr. Smash. I think the Vikings have more talent than the Packers. But you never know. Priest can always turn it on, and he can surprise some people. Let's move over to probably the easiest division to pick. You got the Buccaneers at 1-0, the Falcons at 1-0, my Saints at 1-0. Now the Saints and Buccaneers will play as soon as Press Pass Live is over. So, Cooley, if you're watching, I'm coming. I'm trying to wrap things up. If you're not watching, somebody send him a message and tell him that I'm coming. And then you got the Panthers and Big Hurt moving over to the Panthers at 0-1. How do you see this division playing out? And if you say anything outside of the Falcons winning, then I'm going to have to immediately shut the stream down and quit.
Yeah, no, that'd probably constitute league removal. The Falcons are probably going to win 16 games again.
Yeah.
Actually, I think someone's going to beat them this year. I think someone's just going to do it. Maybe it'll be a freak game or something, but it'll be a 15-1 team. Number 1 seed. That's not really a surprise. I think this
Unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's probably the least competitive division as far as winning the division goes, but I think between you and Cooley with the Saints and Bucks, I think you guys are going to be competitive, and you guys are going to be pushing each other for a wild card spot. If I have to pick, it's really tough. You guys have complete opposite strengths as a team. You're really good defense. He's really good offense. I'm gonna pick the Saints to finish second. Mostly because I want to trash talk Cooley, but also I just don't think I think, he got Calais Campbell, but he's really low overall. Yeah. That's his big impact player. I know he has some good rookies, but they're going to take some time. And I just like the way your defense looked week 1. Like, that was dominant defensive line play. If Marcus Lattimore, makes 2 deflections for you, you probably win that game by a touchdown or more.
He's the most frustrating player I have on my team. I would, if I could afford to trade him and someone would give me something for him, I would move him in a second. He does nothing for me.
Yeah, and it's surprising. Like, I got a similar cornerback, Stephon Gilmore, who plays complete shutdown, and then Marcus Lattimore struggles. But, I think potentially he might, if Lattimore can play well for you, you're going to be a solid 11 to 12 win team with that team, even with like a Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, who you use really well, but like as far as comparing who's the best quarterbacks in the league, he's not really ranked up there.
No,
but I do think that defense is going to dominate, especially against a O line like the Buccaneers. You guys head to head, the one like you're about to play is going to be a big factor in who comes out of this division, and I think you guys, whoever is second, will win a wild card. It'll be competitive, but I think one of you guys will have 12 wins, and I think it's going to be you. Buccaneers will be just behind you, probably 10, 11 wins, but out of the playoffs. And then Panthers, Big Hurt's going to turn this team around. I know that. He's such a good player, but I think it's just pieces away right now. I don't think he has the roster to compete. I think he'll be a 4 to 6 win team maybe at the best.
Yeah.
But then, next year watch out, because Beaker is a great offensive player.
No, I agree with you. Look, the Falcons are going to win this hands down. I do, like you, 15, 16 win team. He's stupid. And then the Bucks and Saints, I can't wait to play this game. It's going to be a fun game. It should be competitive. It's always competitive with he and I. And it's going to be whoever wins that game will have the best chance. I do like my team. I like how they're playing right now. I want to see some consistency from them. Can I not turn the ball over with Teddy Bridgewater? He and I think will battle it out for second place. I'm going to call myself for second place, but wouldn't surprise me at all if Cooley wins that and, is a 12-13 win team and like that, number 1 wild card spot. Again, like you said with the Panthers, I think it's just going to take him some time to actually build that roster up. One of my favorite divisions that I think is quietly one of the best divisions in the OMFL. The Redskins, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Eagles, the NFC East. Redskins at 1-0, Cowboys at 1-0, Giants at 0-1, Eagles at 0-1. Season 1 of Madden 20, the Eagles were, I think, like a 13-14 win team just out of nowhere, and Little Koch was just making plays like crazy. Took a step back last year, and then this year, first game didn't look so good. So that's a little bit of a question mark, but man, he can turn it on and play really good football. The Giants, Pepper is always a very competitive player. He lost a tight one in this past week, but look for him to look. Anytime you have Saquon Barkley and some of that defense that he has, like, you're going to be able to make plays. And again, a guy that probably needs to draft a little bit better, but has a lot of talent on that team, and would not surprise me for him to make a run. Cowboys and Redskins. The Redskins have kind of owned this division. I think the past 3 seasons, Den Brew is such a consistent player. He is a D. Wayne type of player that just plays really great defense, really efficient offense, runs the ball really well. And when Maniac is rolling with this offense, it's because he's running the ball and playing ball hawking defense, and he seems to have gotten those things figured out. So how do you see the NFC East playing out?
Well, even though Denbrew, I gave him a compliment on Twitter earlier today, and he did not accept it. He was talking about the rest of his division. I still think the Redskins are the team to beat.
Yeah.
I think, I think, like you say, he's really consistent. He does his homework. I think that roster is just getting better every season. But like you say, this is a competitive division. I think they're actually going to hurt themselves by being so competitive as far as, one team's going to make a wild card from this division, but I don't think there's going to be 2 like we saw in Season 1. So I see the Redskins being a 12-win team. Probably half their losses will come in division. I think second place will be the Cowboys. Maniac is going to be an 11-win team probably. I think he understands that with this roster he has, the time is now. Because next year guys are going to start falling off, contracts are going to be coming up, and it's a tough place for the Cowboys to be. So I think he'll be pushing hard. He might make some trades or something, who knows? But I think they're going to be second place. Third place, really tough. Both these teams are both, like you say, really good. The Eagles lost week 1, but that was to the Falcons, so you can't really fault them for that.
Yeah, can't fault anybody for that.
No. And I think he's done a good job with his roster here.
Yeah.
It's another one where I think they're going to tie for third place as far as record goes.
Sure.
Whoever wins the tiebreaker, they'll be like 7-9, 8-8 kind of teams where half their losses come against, or not half, but close to half their losses come against their own division. So I think like you say, Pepper has to draft a little better, but he has tons of talent too. So. Mm-hmm. He could compete with the Cowboys, so could the Eagles, but I do think that the Redskins and Cowboys have more talent, so they'll be first and second, and the Cowboys will be the wild card team.
I agree with you. I think just as it's laid out now is how it's going to go. Redskins number 1. I think they'll be a 14-win team. He just plays super consistent. I see the Cowboys being number 2, an 11 to 12-win team. He always kind of goes through these gaps where he loses a couple and then he gets the ship back right. I think he will be fighting whoever comes out of the NFC South for that wild card, 1 and 2 type of spot. I think whoever doesn't get it, they'll just kind of flip-flop. I think that the Giants will still be in it and pushing for a wild card spot, week 13, 14, and then, it's just going to kind of get away from him as those games run out. And I think the Eagles, unfortunately, will be a top 10 pick. I don't know where things got off base with him, but clearly something has gotten off, and he needs to right the ship over there. All right, last one. Is this last one? Yeah, last one. NFC West, you got the Seahawks at 1-0, the Rams at 0-1, 49ers at 0-1. Both of those teams lost really close, tight games. Actually, all 3 of these, the Cardinals at 0-1, lost a really close, tight one there. How do you see this one playing out? In my opinion, maybe not the toughest division, but the funnest division to watch. This is just an enjoyable division to watch football by 4 characters that you could make a movie out of these 4 guys. I mean, these are just like super competitive. these guys know how to build a team. They all know how to play defense. They all have playmakers on offense. I don't want to hear Rob. He was on the draft show, talk about his Cardinals. That's a really, really good team. Now, I do think they're a season away. He drafted super offensive line heavy. It's just going to take time to build those guys up. But when he gets that offensive line, NFC West better watch out, because that's going to be a winning team. But how do you see the NFC West playing out?
Yeah, I completely agree. And my favorite part about this division is all four of these guys play a completely different style of offense. Like the Rams are kind of slow pace, bash it up your face. The Seahawks are sort of similar, but they take more shots downfield, where the Rams are kind of a conservative passing team. The 49ers have a dynamic running game, kind of sideline to sideline running game, which is a little bit different than the run up the middle. And then Rob is a kind of almost an air raid, where not formation wise, but like he passes the ball a lot. And Kyler Murray looks amazing. His receivers, when they release off the line, look unbelievable. So it is very fun to watch. I think as far as predictions go, I do got the Seahawks winning. It's hard to pick exactly. They played against I watched the Packers game that they played. Russell Wilson looked a little loose, but I think he also knew he had like some house money where he's gonna, if he turned the ball over once in a while, he's probably gonna get.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's the way I look, because I watched Mo quite a bit in recent years, and it just looked like he was passing down like 25 yards more than normal. So. I think the opponent had a lot to do with that, but his team looks unreal. The defense has some of the best playmakers in the league, probably one of the hardest ones they played last season, and they improved this year. So I think they'll win. I think I don't think there's going to be a wild card team. I think these guys are going to kind of beat each other. There's 4 good owners here who are going to kind of like the NFC East. I think they're going to just beat on each other. I think the Seahawks will have like 11 wins and win the division. Then I think these other guys are all going to be like between 7 and 9 wins. I think the 49ers are going to finish second with probably 9 wins on the year. I like what they've done in the draft, and I like the Trubisky pickup, like I said earlier. So I think they're going to propel themselves to a 9-win team. I think Rob is going to improve a lot, but I don't think quite enough to pass Bill. I think Bill's defense is still really good. His team's just thin. He pays a ton of money to like 6 or 7 guys, and then after that, it's a bunch of who's. Probably 8-8 this year. He was a playoff team last year. Just don't think he has depth this season. And then the Cardinals, I think 7 and 9. Like you say, the offensive line is going to hold him back a little bit with that pass game, because I think he said he had a fumble or something last game that kind of hurt him, and that's the kind of stuff that's going to keep that team back. But Kyler Murray might win a MVP with 5,000 passing yards this season too. So if he can limit turnovers despite the offensive line, he could be a factor. But I just don't see it with that offensive line this season.
Yep, I agree with you. Look, I think that they're Denbrew, Rob, Dawson with the 49ers, Bill, these are like super talented owners that I think, to me, you guys make your money from, for lack of a better term, from sorry, I was trying to move some stuff around. I wasn't thinking. From being really good thinkers of the game. Like, you think your way. You're good, talented players, but you're better thinkers, and you're really strategic about how you build your team and how you set your team up and how you study. Like Denbrew, right? The typical, like, super strategic thinker that coaches his way through thinking first. D Money with the Atlanta Falcons, super talented guy. Like, he doesn't need to think. He just calls plays and his team's freaking dominant and he's good, and he's really great at the sticks, and just like one of the just flat out talent guys that we're going to see here in the OMFL. Cincy Berg is another just like stupid talent guys. But then there are the guys like Dwayne, Mo with the Seahawks, one of the most well-rounded, not only thinkers, but talent. And when you put those two things together, and either one of these guys, the Seahawks, are focused, he is unbeatable. And so I see the Seahawks winning this division. I see the 49ers and Rams kind of beating each other up and flip-flopping throughout the season. I do like what the 49ers showed me against the Colts, so I'm going to take the 49ers in second place. Look for the Rams to push extremely hard for a wild card spot. I just think the road is much tougher here in the NFC West, where you got the Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals that you have to play, 6 of your games, almost half your games are for just those really super talented teams. And then again, I think the Cardinals are going to upset some people. I think they're going to score a lot of points, but this is going to be a much better team in week 13, 14, 15, 16 than they are in week 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because that offensive line is only going to get better. And so give me the Seahawks, Rams in third place, 49ers in second place, Cardinals bringing up the rear, so to speak. We're going to bring it to the mailbag. That's what I was trying to say, and then wrap this thing up. I think we only have 2 questions. See if we can get this to load up. Then I'll do some sponsors. I usually break the sponsors up, but I'm a little out of my element. I haven't been doing these in quite some time, so I forgot to break these up between each and every segment. Let's see. Oh, no, we actually got a couple of more. We may save some of these because looks like Dwayne went a little crazy with the questions here tonight. So, Dwayne, I'm telling you right now, we're going to save some of yours. I think this Den Brew one we took back last season, I need to go mark that for him. All right, we're going to start with Rob's question. He says, thoughts on having awards for each conference, one for MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, etc., for each conference instead of just one. So before we do that, let's just go with that. So his question is, instead of having just one overall, but just one for each different conference, what do you think about breaking the awards up for the different conferences?
To me, in some ways, it does make sense. To do something like that, kind of like how the game does it.
Sure.
There's a lot of incentives, but the thing is, there is a lot of incentives that you guys do give out here. So I don't think, and I think what, I don't think I've won an award, so I don't know exactly what they're worth, but I don't think it's like anything overpowering that you can't go earn on your own either. But I think it would make sense for something like Rookie of the Year, maybe not MVP, but Rookie of the Year on both sides of the ball. A partial split, where it's maybe more impactful on a rookie who's still 75 overall, or I guess it wouldn't be 75 by the end of the season, but who starts at 75. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's something needed. I think there's a lot of incentives to go get. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I feel like you. I feel like we give out so many incentives. It's very hard to get people to actually go vote. And my worry is if that we now have 15 things to vote on, are we going from 24 votes a year to 15 votes? And so it makes less impact. And I don't know that you're truly giving the award to the person who's the better player. It's just there was only 15 votes that came in, right? I could be totally wrong on that. I'm trying to think of ways that we can increase the amount of votes, but when it comes to rookies and stuff like that, that's those votes happen in a different way to where that's much harder to do. And so, yeah, maybe this stuff goes on a Google form from now on, and we move away from forum blog posts where you see polls, and so maybe it moves over to a Google form where everything's on one form, so it's just easier for people to vote. I'm always open to ideas, but I don't want to start handing out so many awards and so many incentives that they kind of lose something, and that's a little bit of my worry, is that's going to happen. That we just start handing out too many awards and everybody gets a trophy, and it's just, I don't know about that. So I think I'm definitely open to the discussion. Ultimately, it'll be Colin who gets to decide. And I think that Rob and I have already just started to discuss his second question. And so maybe part of the second question also touches the first question, and that is we moved to a Google form that is just easier for people to vote. So maybe they'll vote everybody at one time. It takes less time. It's easier to figure out the winners. It's just a little bit more difficult to set up, but I think I could get that done for Colin pretty quickly. And his second question was, expanding the ballots to include more candidates or have input as to who gets put on the ballot. So for rookies of the year and stuff, ultimately that's up to Colin. Like, I can't do everything here, and Colin does our awards and our records and things like that. So those MVP, Coach of the Year, I know he leans out and asks for the board input for Coach of the Year, but ultimately he gets to decide who's on the ballot. Now, when it comes to the Pro Bowl ballot, everybody who is on the media team that is willing to do an all 22, things like that, there's a special group. I get input from all those guys. So there's like 10 or 12 guys in that group. So it's almost like half the league that actually gets some input as to who gets put on the Pro Bowl roster. And I think that I've expanded that pretty well in the last 2 seasons, in that you get a much deeper roster and more options to get on that. You might have 1 or 2 guys who feel like their one player got snubbed, but I just think it's better than it was when it first came out. And so, I'm open to suggestions. I want to hear your thoughts about expanding the ballots or trying to get more candidates.
Yeah, like you say, if it's up to Colin, I guess, it'd be kind of a thing for him to look at. The thing is, like, maybe you do like one guy per position group, maybe. But I don't know. It's so hard to like compare like a receiver versus well, you can't even nominate an offensive lineman, but like, I don't know, a receiver's almost gonna win the offensive rookie, or would win an offensive rookie almost every time. So I don't know if that's what you mean by expansion either. Like, but like, I don't know. There's just so many different things to look at. You almost need to expand it, but you also need to like find a system where, you're really finding the best guys and not just like I don't know how to explain it. Just like, it'd be really hard to do just because there's so many different things to look at. Like,
yeah,
it's not perfect no matter what.
We can put out a 12-person ballot if you want, and then the winner gets 6 votes, or we can do you really want 5 guys to get 1 vote each from the guy who owns them? Is that really what we want? Yes, so it's very difficult for Colin to pick 4 guys, right? That can be really, really difficult. And I think maybe there's something there where we go, at least for Rookie of the Year, it's AFC, NFC, for offense, defense. So we expanded a little bit, but when it comes to Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, I don't know that we want to start having, handing out XP all over the place where, I don't know. It's a catch-22. I'm definitely open to ideas. Ultimately, Colin will decide because I've handed that off to him. It's his puppy, and I think, we can try Google Forms this year and see if that helps get more votes out there. There's some other good questions here. What teams do you think will dethrone the Colts in the AFC? You and I kind of talked about that. My teams, if I had to pick 3, I'd go Bengals, Jets, and Titans. I think those are 3 really good powerhouses that have the opportunity because of their schedule and their team to make a run. What are a couple of your teams that you think could dethrone the Colts in the AFC?
Well, I think if I ever had the chance in like the AFC conference, I think I got Dwayne's money, but we never seem to play in the playoffs. I seem to get knocked out early, and then he goes and dominates. Yeah. But I think Colin has a team that's talented enough. I think he beat him the first year. I think Colin lost to the Jets maybe last year, so he didn't get the rematch. I think that's a team that has the talent to really pressure a defense like Dwayne's. I think the Steelers have a lot of potential for that too. Obviously, the 3 teams you mentioned. I think there's a lot of teams. I think the AFC has a lot of teams that have potential to do something like that to Dwayne. I don't think Dwayne's quite as dominant as D-Money is in the NFC. So I think he's still the front runner in the whole conference as far as like the favorite to win. But I do think we have a lot. We got a pretty solid stable of guys where if any one of like our top, 6, 7 teams got a chance, I think there's a chance we could win. One of us could win. It just depends on like schedule, like in the playoffs if you got the home game maybe, or who's injured or something like that. Like it's very fine margins. I know Dwayne's a really good player and always there, but I do think there's been a couple cracks in his armor in the first 2 seasons that someone could take advantage of.
All right, we'll see if we can run through these really quick. We're going to save your number 1 question, Dwayne. Number 2 question, I don't really love this question. What are your thoughts on Big Herd and Savante switching teams? I'd love to hear your thoughts as a commissioner. Mine are, if it keeps a player happy, whatever. Like if it makes an owner happy, switch as many times as you want. I'd love to see guys stay and form rivalries, but I mean, Dwayne, you were the Falcons for a long time. We had great rivalries, and you went over to the AFC. So it's like, if one of my top guys here, if I'm letting him switch and kill rivalries, then how can I hold anybody else to it? And to me, I need engagement, I need passion, I need excitement. And if switching teams is what brings that for you, then switch teams every season if you find somebody to do that with.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I would definitely prefer when guys stay, especially multiple seasons in where you've kind of built the roster up, but you got your own cap situation. Sometimes one team's in a way better position than another team, so I prefer when guys stay. But again, just exactly like you say, if it keeps them happy, switch all you want. In TFL we try to limit it just by saying, okay, you can switch, but we're gonna trade ban you for a season or something like that, as kind of a deterrent, but it still doesn't work. Guys trade all the time, or not all the time, but once in a while.
Yeah.
I think it was a really good move for Savante. I think I think he had cap problems this year. I think 1 year where he can address that defense. Like I say, he played really well, so I think that was a great move on his part.
And he gets away from D-Money.
yeah, he does get away from D-Money. And then, it's a tough division still, but I think it's going to fit him a lot better because, it's an offensive division, and he's a pretty good offensive player if he can limit turning the ball over, but like he moves it well and he runs well and stuff like that. So I think that was a really good one for him. And then Big Hurt, I think, probably just wanted to rebuild or something like that because and something fresh just by the way he talked while that deal was going on. So I think both are going to be happier for it, and I just like you say, as long as they're happy, that's the most important thing.
Yep. We'll take your next 2, Dwayne, and I'm going to save the other 3 for the next show because they're really good questions. I like these creative questions. Number 1, what are your sleeper teams for this season? Mine are going to be Bengals, Titans. In the NFC, it's going to be 49ers and Lions. I do think that the Lions will be a sleeper team. So 49ers, Lions, and Titans and Bengals are my 4 teams that if I had to pick 2 from each side or something like that. Who are your sleeper teams?
Well, I don't know if he could be a sleeper after he won his division, but I think Penguins is in a prime position to kind of, with the Steelers, is prime position to kind of sort of emerge as a yearly contender the way he was in OMFL 2 when we were all down there. I think he won 3 straight Super Bowls or 3 out of 4 or something like that. He was the D money of our league. I think he's built that team into that position. I think so. I think he's on his way up. So he's my number 1 in the AFC. I think number 2 probably, I agree with the Titans pick. That's just an obvious one. That team's on the up and up. That's a great pick. As far as the NFC goes, I like the Niners as well. And then, I don't know if they really qualify as a sleeper because they've been consistently good, but I think the Redskins are I think they're prime, and I know Denbrew told me to stop praising him earlier, but I think
stop winning.
Eventually, exactly. And I think eventually he's gonna get the formula to beat D-Money. I know it hasn't worked out the first 2 seasons, but he's a guy that studies and studies. He's gonna learn something. He's gonna figure something out. That team's getting better. It's a really young team, that Washington Redskins roster, and then Terry McLaurin's getting better. Dwayne Haskins is getting better every year. And I think I don't really know if that's really a sleeper because he won his division again, like Penguins did last year. But I think as far as winning the Super Bowl, I think that's kind of a team that I think is gonna challenge in the NFC.
Here's the last question that we're going to talk about. I'll give my thoughts and then let you kind of skirt the issue a little bit. He asked, do the Patriots have enough firepower to win big with Brady retiring? I don't know what win big means. Do I think that Bloop can win a bowl here? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think he has the roster this year? Probably not. I do think, though, that you have the opportunity to win a lot of games, and I think you will. I think you're too smart of a player, too good of a player. You have too solid of a squad. The quarterback issue is going to take you a little bit to work through. I think you'll have good games and bad games. It'll be kind of a mixture there, but I do think that you will continue to win big. You'll continue to be a force. You're going to make the playoffs. I don't know that you have the firepower to beat the Colts, that sometimes you got to outscore them, but I do think that you have the opportunity to do it. What do you think about your Patriots?
Yeah, you might have caught me on the right day for this because I'm riding a high off my week 1 game. You know, I didn't think my offense was going to be very good. Like this season, Jake McAllister started out like 61 overall. He's up to 66 already. I think he played a lot better than I expected. Like I think I had 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, but 1 interception was like a accidental switch where he wound up punting it back afterwards. So really it was only 4 touchdowns and 1 interception, and then like my defense played well. So I don't think I'm gonna win this season. I don't think I got lots of rookies playing for me. I got lots of old guys still on the defense. I'm actually trying to phase all those guys out as the season goes along. I'm not going to start every single rookie on my team. I'm going to, build them up and then start them. So that's what I'm going through right now. But I do think, I think I'm going to be able to win. And then I think like maybe next season, or maybe the season after, I'll finally have the firepower. But right now, I'm riding a high. I feel really good about my team. I like it. But, as you say, I probably don't have the firepower to do it yet just because, I got 2 offensive skill players that are over 75 overall playing.
No, I think you're going to be just fine. Let's wrap up this show with some sponsors and some closing thoughts. So I'm going to make these really quick because I know Cooley is waiting on me. You got Daddy Leagues, League Crawler, Soden Bowl, E-Kings, and Shopmaster. Even though I think E-Kings may have disappeared, so maybe we have to remove them from our website. But they were a big sponsor of ours early on in Madden 20.
I was going to say thanks to them for all the codes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They showed up, gave a bunch of codes, and then kind of disappeared. But we really do appreciate them, and we're going to continue to push them until I know for sure they're not around. But Daddy Leagues, you cannot have a Madden website without Daddy Leagues. I'm a really big fan of Poppy. He's just been super nice to me and super good to me and good to us. And he appreciates what we kind of bring to the Madden community, and I appreciate him. And I love Daddy Leagues. I'll always be a big supporter. I know that there is a new option that's out there, but as far as the OMFL goes and the Deuce goes, we will always support Daddy Leagues. LeagueCrawler.com. I am Matt's biggest fan. I think he is one of the nicest guys in the Madden community, which is an absolute rarity. The guys like Bloop and Matt and like these super Pootie T, like those are unfortunately a rarity in the Madden community. Usually it's a bunch of guys who are very full of themselves and think way too highly of themselves that we just play a video game and organize Madden communities. Let's not take this stuff so seriously, but these are some of the nicest guys around. Matt does an amazing job at League Crawler. I say it every time. You need to stop what you're doing. You need to go create a login at LeagueCrawler.com. You need to go create your PSN. You need to go find all the leagues that you've played in, leave a comment, and give a rating. That needs to happen this weekend because you need to support LeagueCrawler.com. He plays a lot of other games that you can rate and find owners and find leagues on, but really Madden is his number one thing. And he's done a really great job with LeagueCrawler.tv that's on Twitch. It's something I wish we could be more of a part of, but it's something that's been difficult to figure out. And then, of course, our buddies on the Xbox One side, Soden Bowl, SodenBowl.com. They have some magnificent graphic artists that create their graphics, that do their shows, that do commentary. So just a super nice guy. At least he's been nice to me. And so anybody that comes to us from the Xbox side, we send them that way. I think I was just talking to one of the OMFL owners here today who also has an Xbox, who was looking for a possible Xbox League. I know that we've had several OMFL owners that have went over there and tried their Xbox side, but if you're looking for an Xbox League, make sure that you go support them. And then last, our buddy Mr. Shopmaster. And I haven't heard from Shop in our chat in quite some time, but I know he's putting out tons of content. He's super active on Twitter and his website. Go support Shop. Again, another really nice dude, and he's always been open to any type of partnership and help and promotion, and just a nice dude. I appreciate Shop and appreciate what he adds to the Madden community. So those are our sponsors. Bloop, let's put a bow in the show, and then I got to go lose to Cooley. Put a bow on Press Pass Live number 154.
Yeah, it was a good show. I loved doing the draft show the other day, and I hope you kick Cooley's ass, to be honest, right now.
That makes two of us.
Good luck with that. Yeah, well, I hope so. But good luck with that, and good luck to everyone. Play your rookies well, and have a good season.
And Bloop, I appreciate you a ton. Of course, you've stepped into Press Pass Live and helped me a ton, and I love the TFL community and what they've added to our community as a whole, and just the fact that you and your guys who have joined the OMFL have not ever treated us like your second league, even though I know that we are. You've been 100% here, and my appreciation for you goes very deep, and I appreciate everything that you've added to the OMFL and to the grown folks community, and for stepping in for the draft shows and for these Press Pass Lives, and just being so willing to help me out. So thank you so much for jumping in with me. This was a really good show, and now it's time to go play week number 2. So congrats to everybody who won in week number 1. Congrats to a great draft the other night, and good luck in week number 2. We'll see you next weekend for Press Pass Live number 155. Until then, have a great week. God bless you. Peace.